the argument that in today's time we're moving away from this Descartesian idea of I think therefore I am to we think therefore we are. And my first question is, how do we reclaim the sense of self? And the second one is, I would actually like to critique this idea through Ludwig Wittgenstein's Beetle in the Box. So the idea is, everyone has a beetle. Have you heard of this allegory or not?
Yeah.
And so the idea is everyone has a box with a beetle in it. I'm just explaining it to the others in the room, I guess. And no one can see inside the other person's box. So we talk about the beetle inside the box, but we can only see the one we have. And over time, the beetle actually becomes irrelevant, and meaning is established with the collective. So when you say that we think, therefore we are, has always been the natural case, whereby language is not defined to the individual and the self, but rather to the collective in general.
Good question. Looks like you read a lot and think a lot. That's good. To begin with, this idea, I think, therefore I am, is not something very traditional. It only started with Descartes. And that really went on for a while. It's not as strong as we think it was. So in other words, the phrase of I think therefore I exist or I am is not as influential as we think would cast on us. And so because of that, by the time of early modernity, which is, each scholar has a way to define that. Roughly somewhere from the late 1700s, early 1800s, to some point in the early 1900s, middle 1900s, we consider that part is modernity or modern time. And after the Second World War, we're entering so-called postmodern time. So with this as a framework to look at things, then you begin to see several things happen there. First of all, by Heidegger's time, he is already, in a sense, revoking the idea of I think, therefore I am. So the essential idea of I think, therefore I am is emphasized and embodied by Kant. So Kant is the, how should I say it, is almost like the rejuvenator or the amplifier of that idea. So what it really comes down to is that this idea, I think, therefore I am, but in the simplest way is that as long as you think as a human being, not only that you exist, but also you entitle some sort of legitimacy or right in this existence, which is questionable because our mind is only one side of things. The other side of things is always does not recognize our mind. So that's the very problem. And this problem is not new. The Hinduism, the Buddhism, the Taoism, they all recognized this long time ago. Typically, the Buddhists always like to say form is emptiness, emptiness is form. So that a very simple statement already reject the idea, I think, therefore I am. Because I think from that perspective, the Buddhist perspective, you can't think because you are not who you are, because you are as you are at the same time, you are not who you are. That is to say, the form is emptiness and the emptiness is a form. So if you go that perspective, then already this equation It's not holding itself. I think at the same time, I don't think. That's where Foucault put his way in there. And this cogito already become doubled. So as you think, at the same time, you're not thinking. Of course, it has been this way for a very long time. We carry on this, whether you call it dogma or you call it inspiration. At the same time, it's a reality out there continues as we continue to do our things. And there's always things outside us doing things in their own ways. For instance, at this moment, we are more or less coherent. I'm speaking and you're listening. So we're on the same page. But at this classroom, people are on a different page. They're doing something else. So that part of reality, we have no control, nor we have any access to that. But they're happening all the time. So in this sense, Foucault's critiques to this whole idea of I think, therefore I am, is that the cogito creates its own double. And Foucault comes up like three different categories. And Ravenel, it used to be at Berkeley, passed away a few years back, and he came up a new way to look at that after his examination, Foucault's three doubles ended up with 12 doubles. So we have 12 doubles in our life. So this whole, I think, therefore I am, is completely invalid in that sense. But of course, again, even it's invalid, I still do my thinking as much as you do your thinking. And that has not changed. So with that view, then you begin to look at the Foucault's things begin to make sense. So put it in a simple way. You have one set of thinking right now, and you're going to do something. But immediately, there's a second set of thinking would question you within yourself. Well, are you going to be all right to do that? Is that a good thing or bad thing? See, that natural reaction is always there. If we will continue the I think, therefore I am, there's no interruption. Our life can be okay, continue. But what really happened was the postmodernism, when we enter the postmodern time, that the double begins to take over the original in a simple way. And so that's what Baudrillard's idea that as a consumer, in a consumer society, that actually you are not consuming, rather that you are consumed by consumption. So that's where you begin to see my argument there. I think, therefore I am, turns into we think, therefore we are. Of course, this is very hard to accept because no one wants to accept I am not I am. I am always have to be unique as who I am. No one wants to be I am I become double, become something else. But unfortunately, in our life, that's what is happening. So within this idea of post-consumption, that we are all disciplined by it. So on the surface, we think we're doing our own things. But in reality, we're not doing our own things. I mentioned this so many times in different classes, that each of you think you are very unique. Me too, I think I'm unique. But the truth is I'm not that unique. Think about it. I pick up this shirt today, I wear this shirt. Why I do that? because I think I'm unique. I'm going to wear a different shirt. And then very soon you walk somewhere, somebody's going to wear exactly the shirt. You can't get away from that. On top of that, unconsciously or consciously, we actually chase this similarity. And you sometimes secretly like to see somebody wear what you're wearing. So what that tells you is that there's a secret wish, which you constantly and immediately you deny that you want to be the same. So you'll know that as a younger person today, you don't want to be left alone. You want to join a group. You join the fashion. You want to be popular. You want to be riding with the fashion. You don't want to be left alone. So why you want to do that? Because you want to be the same. So we're in this great contradiction. On one hand, we want to be very unique individual. At the same time, by doing so, we become the same. But consciously, we reject that. We don't want to be the same. But unconsciously, we accept that. So that's where we got into the dilemma. Philosophy at this point, follow the traditional way, is not really going to help us. This idea, you're in the box, it's really not too far from the Descartesian idea. It's still focused on the mind. It's this consciousness of individual that dominates everything. But that's not true. It cannot be true. We have carried on this idea for so long, but still, I don't think it's solid, or as solid as we hoped that it would be. That's the reality now.